Hi, everybody. It's Jim. Welcome back to Psalm Tripping. It's Monday, April 22nd, and I'd like to do a listening log, an update on what I've been listening to, and I'll combine this with some small hauls. So, I've been doing a lot of listening to things that I've gathered up recently at library sales, and I'll just try to run through some of these albums, CDs, and vinyl with you, and we'll also look at some of the new pickups. So, first of all, let me get my glasses on here. We've got a group that I'm not so familiar with, I'm a little ashamed to say, but this is The Church, Gold Afternoon Fix. And this album came out in 1990. And I have a friend at work who is heavily influenced by The Church. He's in a band called Smart Barker. You should check out their music. This is a club edition. So this is the first Church album I've ever owned, and the cover evokes a little bit of the you know the one I'm talking, the Joshua Tree, right? But anyway, this is a sort of an indie rock sound, like really nice guitar textures, and I was pleasantly, I don't know if surprised is the right word. I didn't have any predisposition against The Church, but definitely worth checking out. According to my friend, this is not their best album, maybe their second best album. I think the one before it is a little more famous. I also listened to this all the way through, Joe's Garage, Acts 1, 2, and 3. This is also a BMG Club edition. And I was, what do you say about Frank Zappa? I mean, this was very entertaining. Listen, it's this kind of combination. It's like an opera almost, and it tells a story. And you've got this strange voice that comes in and sort of almost narrates, and that is the central scrutinizer. And I love when the central scrutinizer comes in to talk about Joe and his different adventures. There's lots of sort of off-color humor in here, sex humor and blowjobs and things, but it's also, like, I think got something of a message too about music and people who try to like shut down music and so forth. But I'll listen to this again. It was sort of vintage Frank Zappa for me. Glad to have it. Also, May I Sing With Me? Yola Tengo. Listen to this. Very strong. Liked it a lot. Here's a classical album I picked up. I don't know if I mentioned this in one of my haul videos, but I don't think so. Gustav Mahler, Raphael Kubelik conducting Symphony Number 1. I think this, and it's the, who is it? The Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra does this. And this is on the Deutsche Grammophon label. I think some people consider this to be a pretty definitive version of Mahler's first. I'm not certain about that. But I recognize the cover, and I will have to say it's not my favorite Mahler first of the ones I've listened to. I'm by no means an expert in classical music, so take this with a grain of salt. But it definitely sounds different. Like, I think Kubelik is increasing the tempos quite a bit, moving it along, and it sort of has its own stamp on it. So maybe this will grow on me. I'll keep it around. It'll be fun to do some comparisons of the different Mahler ones I have. Also, I have some Steely Dan. I listened to this in the headphones on the stereo, Gaucho. And this was came out in year 2000, that edition. What I like about this is I have the complete Steely Dan albums on their Citizen Steely Dan box set, which is a fine box set. But what I don't like about the Citizen Steely Dan box set is the fact that the discs, as you go CD to CD, they don't equate to the album. So, like, you might have like half an album on one CD and then it continues on the next CD, and you don't get the original covers. So I thought, I've been lately, the last couple of years, when I find these used, I've been picking up the individual albums on CD. I have all these on vinyl, but this one, the other nice thing about this packaging is it's one of these fold-out things, so you get the lyrics, but you get these really interesting, funny, witty liner notes by Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, and I don't think those are part of the box set, so it's nice to have those. And I will say that Gaucho sounded phenomenal in the headphones. It's a really nice sounding CD. This was from a library sale, Steeleye Span, Pleased to See the King. I realized that I have this on vinyl, but it's a completely different looking cover. It has a kind of a burlap cover, and I haven't done the comparison of the vinyl to the CD, but this CD sounded incredible. Like, it really was full and rich and bassy and deep and very rewarding. Just loved it. Great British folk rock sound with the emphasis on folk, but that kind of great blend that they got. Now, what was not as impressive was this CD, Who Are You, by The Who. And I listened to this in the car and listened to it, and it was just not impressive. Like, I just thought, here's the label. I don't know if it's this particular mastering or if it's like just not that great of an album. I do have the album on vinyl somewhere. I don't have it at hand here, and I want to do a quick comparison. My hunch is that the vinyl is going to sound tremendously better than this CD, and there may be better CD variants out there. Let me know in the comments. This seems to be like a pretty old one because it doesn't even have a barcode. It says 1985, but it just sounded pretty flaccid to me. Unfortunately, I will say the one standout was Keith Moon's drumming. It was the last album that he played on before he passed away, and yeah, this one I might have talked about before, REM Murmur, but it sounds great on CD. Listen to it in the headphones. I'll have to compare this to the vinyl copy. But really very thoroughly enjoyable. I think it's one of their more important albums. Talking Heads. This was a library pickup, I believe. Remain in Light. Listen to this in the car. Great rhythmic playing on here. The big track off of this is Once in a Lifetime. But the whole album has a kind of a coherence to it. It's very sort of rhythmic and kind of tribal sounding, and in this sort of herky-jerky, quirky, white people way. And yeah, it was good. It was a good listen. I think I'll keep it around for a while. Not the hugest Talking Heads fan, but it's nice to like delve into their music a little more deeply. Continuing with the Sonic Youth listens. So this is Washing Machine. Just listened to this morning on the headphones, and yeah, it's nice. It was nice. Of the 3 Sonic Youth albums I picked up, well, I haven't re-listened to Daydream Nation yet, but I'll have to pick a favorite. This one was good. The song lengths were sort of more expanded, and great noise rock. It's Sonic Youth, what they do, and they do it well. Okay. Also, I listened to a couple albums on vinyl. One was, I revisited Magic by Bruce Springsteen. I made a video about this, which has been getting a lot of views and comments, and I appreciate everyone's comments on this album. I was curious to take another look at the vinyl, another listen to it. The CD, when I made that video review, I think that was the emphasis of that review, and it's like so loud. It's like so loudly mixed and mastered. And you get the same thing on the vinyl. I thought maybe the vinyl would be a softer presentation, but it really isn't. It's basically the same phenomenon. And it's not just me. It's my wife came down when I was spinning side two and listened to it for a bit. And then at the end of the side, she said something to the effect of like, "Yeah, that kind of sounds off or loud or distorted or something." And I said, "Yeah, well, watch my video because that's what I talk about." That being said, just such a terrific set of songs. But it's a great package. You get the nice gatefold cover there with the E Street Band, and here are your lyrics. It's a very, very nice album. I just wish it was remixed and remastered. Can we make a petition? This is the deserving of much more attention than it gets. Just a terrific stuff, but I think the sound quality makes it suffer. And yes, I'd listened to this. This was a free album I picked up a month or two ago. Barry Manilow, even now, near mint quality. And I finally gave it a listen. This is an album that I have my sister's old copy of it. I've always loved this album. Great pop balladry, late 70s, plus that disco hit, Copacabana. And just sounded terrific sounding album. The only track that maybe sounded a little noisy was the single Even Now, the first track on side two, but nice to have another copy in the collection. My older copy here I think might sound just as good. I haven't compared them, but I'll probably not keep them both. But yeah, I don't know if you would call Barry Manilow a guilty pleasure. Don't throw shade on me for liking Barry Manilow. He's a pretty talented songwriter and performer. You're welcome to your opinions, aren't you? Okay, so some other things. I just went to Jupiter Records and have store credit there. So they were running a sale this weekend in their dollar room. It was 10 records or CDs for $1, so 10 cents per album, and I found 10 of those types of recordings, and then a couple in the main room, which were not expensive at all. I think I spent a grand total of about $7 or $8 in store credit for these. I'll start with the ones that were not in the dollar room. And this was one I've been looking for a while for. It's Smooth Needle Maps by the Devo. This came out in, I want to say, the 90s. Can't quite read. I think in 1990. So by that point, they were kind of becoming passe, but I'm becoming a Devo completist, and this is one of the few remaining studio albums I didn't have. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm looking forward to it. And then Rockford by Cheap Trick. This came out in 2006. I have read about this album, and Cheap Trick fans think of it as one of their stronger later career efforts. So I'm looking forward to giving this a spin. And I like the packaging too. Nice fold out. And there's your CD booklet. I think they were, $2.99 is what they were charging for that. So, and now on to the dollar albums, which are actually 10-cent albums. Lots of jazz and classical here. So we've got Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, the complete sessions. And here's your track list. That's on Capitol. Should be good. Here's Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra with Van Cliburn, Chopin Concerto No. 1, and Rachmaninoff Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini. Uh, Whenever I see the Eugene Ormandys, I've been listening to him so much on streaming. I figure for 10 cents, let's do it. Here's Shostakovich Symphonies No. 2 and 3, Suite The Bolt, by the Gothenburg Symphony Orchestra and Chorus. Nimi Jarvi conducting on Deutsche Grammophon. Whenever I see Shostakovich, I take an interest. He wrote so many symphonies. How many did he write? Like 15, 18, 20 symphonies? I can't remember. This was another Shostakovich, Symphony No. 10, the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra, Klaus-Peter Flor, on RCA Victor. And I ran this barcode in Discogs and nothing came up. So it hasn't been cataloged unless it maybe was part of a box set or something. I can't figure it out. So more classical here. Here's Messiaen, Turangalila Symphony, Amard, Kim, Berlin Philharmonica, Nagano. And Messiaen is a 20th century composer that I have some interest in. So that just looked like a nice, it's on the Teldec label. It looks like a nice packaging. Sometimes the cover will jump out to you, and I thought, for 10 cents, why not? Here's Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade, Flight of the Bumblebee by Fritz Reiner and the Chicago Symphony on RCA Victor. Again, 10 cents. I'm pretty sure this is a classic recording. Probably came out in the era of the Shaded Dog records in the late 50s. I'm not coming up with the date of the recording, but that's probably what that is. That should be good. And then just 3 more vinyl records to share with you. This one is a Dionne Warwick double album, From Within, on Scepter Records. Haven't never really seen this one or paid much attention to it, but I like the song lists. You've got just a nice variety here. Maybe I'll review this someday, but like some late 60s stuff that's not Bacharach David songs, although Bacharach and Hal David produced it. 4 sides, and she does songs like MacArthur Park and People Gotta Be Free and We Can Work It Out and Games People Play, Everyday People, even those Battle Hymn of the Republic and People Get Ready, and just a lot of Summertime by Gershwin. So You'll Never Walk Alone. It just sounds like there's a partial track list. It looks interesting. So I thought for 10 cents of store credit, why not? And then 2 Lena Horne albums. Here's Lena Horne at the Waldorf Astoria with Nat Brandwin's orchestra, conducted by Lenny Hayton. I have 1 or 2 Lena Hornes on Living Stereo, and or one of them is I think actually a mono, and just sounds like incredible. I think that one's called Stormy Weather. So whenever I see Lena Horne, who I like a lot, and you see these vintage late 50s recordings, especially on the RCA ones, I like to try them out. And this is also a Living Stereo, Give the Lady What She Wants. And there's your track list. This should be good too. Here's your label. Yeah, so that's kind of my adventures in record collecting and listening lately. As far as streaming, I have still continued to, it seems like there's an endless supply of Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra stuff out there. I won't go through the individual albums, but I was still listening to a lot of that stuff. I did listen to this one, Katia Bunyanchivili, Labyrinth Ephemera. Nice, quiet piano album. That was good. I gave a second listen to the new Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, and I listened to that with my wife, and she liked it a lot. I liked it on the second listening too. It's an interesting artistic statement. Some of those songs, I'm like humming to myself in my head. So I don't know how often I'll listen to it, but I think it's a really accomplished piece of work. I was impressed by it. And then I listened to the new Taylor Swift album, streaming, Tortured Poets Department, and I know the Swifties are going to come get me, but I just don't get it. I don't get Taylor Swift. I try. I've sampled a fair share of her music. I get that she's a huge megastar. I get that she has generational appeal. Um, I guess she has some lyrical facility as a songwriter. What I hear is just sort of middle of the road maudlin pop music. I've heard this all before. And I listened to all 2 hours or however much worth of the extended album version. You know, she came out with a, I think, 15-track album and then dropped a brand new 15-track album on top of that. Listened to it all in the headphones, streamed it, and I found it just frankly pretty boring. Nothing really engaged me too much. Some of the lyrics were cringy, but it was more just the boredom factor, like kind of like too much sameness between the songs in terms of tempos and arrangements, and I feel like well, I don't need to give advice to Taylor Swift. She's doing fine without my advice, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'd like to know if you have any thoughts about that album. But I mean, I constantly just feel like I just don't get it. I don't get why it's that big of a deal. But, it's happened before, it'll happen again. And, you know, to each their own. Everyone has their own taste. It's nice, sort of, I guess it's like pleasant pop music at some level, but it doesn't do much for me at all. So I think I'm just going to give up on it. I don't plan on listening to that again. Like, it's sort of one and done. And but I like to have an informed opinion. Give things a chance. And maybe someday I'll get it. But for now, I don't. I think that's it for all my listens. What have you been listening to this week or getting in your acquisitions and so forth? Give me your thoughts. If you're new to the channel, I hope you like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. And with that, I will say sayonara, and we'll see you next time. Bye.